Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into the Duval Dive. Of course, I am Kyle Nash, the student of the game.
And I'm Travis Holmes with BigCatCountry.com.
And you're listening to this thing on the Believe Podcast Network. Travis, it's a very unique thing this week as we talk about the wrap-up that just took place with whatever happened at EverBank Stadium. And you and I have been the wrongest we've ever been, but despite that, local Jaguars are in a great mood. That's right. Say what you will, making EverBank great again was a thing. 35-6, your final score. Good gravy. The one thing I said wasn't going to happen on Friday, for those that listened to the preview edition of the Duval Dive, Duval Dive YouTube channel, like and subscribe, do all the things, get a hold of your life and enjoy yourself thoroughly if you're a member of the Duval Devout. But the one thing I said would not happen, Travis, was a Jacksonville Jaguar blowout. Well, I'm afraid I got that one wrong, wronger than anything that could be have gotten wrong when it comes to this game. And when you listen, we knew there was a chance that the defensive front could have made an impact, and seeing the opening Charger offensive play be intentional grounding at the hands of a near Trayvon Walker sack, I believe is the signature for how this game went. Where am I getting it wrong, or are you feeling every bit of that?
No, man. I mean, you haven't got anything wrong. I mean, to be very clear, the team, they understood the assignment. And whether you mean that's the team, the front office, the coaching staff, etc., they understood the stakes. Now, that's not to say because you lose or the other team's better that you didn't understand the stakes, but they came out on fire. They came out on fire while down multiple guys against a team that everybody kind of told them they shouldn't be beating, that they shouldn't win against. And they dominated. They dominated them from start to finish. That's it, man. Like, at the end of the day, this team just seems to play better in all the ways. They play better when their backs are against the wall. We can objectively say that now. Like, they played so well against the Chiefs. It was one of their best games of the season as far as penalties were concerned earlier this season against the Chiefs, and they ended up winning that game because no one expected them to win. And this game, they have one penalty for 5 yards, and they win the game start to finish, shot out of a cannon. You just knew this was absolutely the more physical, the more dominant team from the start. And it's like, all right, cool. So now we know what it takes to get the best out of this team is for no one to believe in them. It's when they are the leaders of the pack. It's when they're being hunted, when the other teams are, when they're not expected, I guess, to perform, to lose against the team. The opponents is when they don't. It's when they generally fall a little flat. So this is interesting to me that we now have enough tape and enough games to kind of say, all right, this is probably real. Like, this team played, they played their behinds off today. Now they deserve that victory.
I feel like I didn't make this point. First of all, and I want to make this clear, I did not say this on the Bolt Blitz Uncut, where I started the show with Booga Peters and 80 Simons to provide a little bit of therapy for that fan base, the Bolt fam, and all of that. But the Bolt bureaucracy and all the rest of you out there, the Chiefs Kingdom and the Black Hole Raider Nation there, I could tell you the Duval Devout appreciate your service, as the AFC West has donated plenty of wins thus far, 3, in fact, having yet faced the Broncos, towards the Jaguars win total in the AFC. So I'm sure that's something that the Duval Devout are all currently grateful for at this point. And the points made, here we've alluded to it. Preston Tibbs in, PT phone home doing his thing here. Good first step, getting back on track. Bid win outside of the 4 games left will be favored, right? Titans twice, Cards, Jets, and against direct wildcard competition. Obviously, some of that too will be the 2 Colts games remaining. Of course, I believe the Broncos are still on the schedule as well. I could argue the Colts game, especially the one in Indy, are among the most difficult remaining, not Denver. And I would make an argument that battling Bo Nix might be easier than battling Jonathan Taylor. So yeah, that's the state of the schedule. And we kind of talked about this going back to August and before, that the back half of the schedule is easier. And I made the point Wednesday that Justin Herbert is the last, air quotes, solid quarterback that everybody unanimously agrees is solid remaining on the schedule. So this does look interesting. And you mentioned on Wednesday, uptick is a thing here. I don't know. I'm not saying confidence, but this win is a big deal. Stay away from being 500. And the schedule is starting. This schedule has a down arrow. Whether or not the Jags live up to the expectation is, of course, a separate conversation.
So I'm gonna say the same thing I said to Ryan Hacker, 1010XL's Ryan After Dark, the Hacker After Dark, sorry, on Tuesday is I don't know how to feel about this game from the start, and I said it to him, in our 15-minute conversation, our 15-minute back and forth, was that if the Jaguars were to beat the Chargers, I still wouldn't know how to feel about the Jaguars. And I want to be honest about that and say that and be consistent there, because I said the Chargers are Jekyll and Hyde. They're all over the place. If you look at the scope of their whole season, I just knew that's what it was. Right. I also thought the Jaguars' best chance of winning this game was to do exactly what they freaking did. We talked about it, run the dang ball. Like that.
Run through someone's face. Yes. Mm-hmm. I saw the short there on the Duval Dive Twitter or Duval Dive YouTube channel as well. I'm just saying.
Yeah, so if you rush for 190 plus yards on 47 carries, which is also the most rush attempts by a team in the NFL this season, well, it seems like you got the message, and that's what I mean when I say the players got the message on the whole being the most physical bunch, but the staff also got the message and like, all right, this is how you win. And that's exactly what they leaned into, both Travis Etienne and Bashaw Tootin getting over, 15 carries? Etienne had 19. Bashaw Tootin had, I believe it was 15. Both of them have 74 and 73 yards. Like, that's how you establish the line of scrimmage, brother. That's doing it. Yeah. And Walker Little, shout out. Like, as much flack as Walker Little has gotten in this media landscape, in this fan base overall, the man played well today, and not just in the passing game, because again, the Jaguars gave up no sacks today. Trevor Lawrence wasn't sacked once today, but in the run game. Like on multiple of those Travis Etienne explosive runs, they were to the left-hand side. That was Ezra Cleveland. That was Walker Little sealing guys or popping guys out and getting to that second level. Like it was that. And I want to make sure he gets that shout out also.
Well, and a lot of that is due to the performance of the interior line, Robert Hainsey, and that group doing their job. I know somebody on this panel was uniquely critical of that. I'm joking, Travis, take it easy. But no, I mean, seriously, the thing I heard from the Bolplitz crew lamenting was how their D tackles were abused on the interior, taking nothing from what Walker Little did today, obviously, but I think that was a big part of it as well. And Bashaw Tootin, man, listen, let me be clear. Bashaw Tootin had the kind of day. It's unfortunate. The downside is this only makes the conversation of whether or not to keep Travis Etienne in the offseason more difficult, right? Because you got this going, and LaQuint Allen doing his job in support, and even one of his kick returns was kind of fun to watch as well, not for nothing. So
the 32-yarder he had was also pretty nice, but overall Tootin was dominant, and they were everything that folks needed them to be. Like Tootin was the sledgehammer. And just dragging guys and getting those extra yards and kind of just running under guys on occasion in between the tackles. And actually, most of his yards came just to the right of Robert Hainsey. So that's actually more of the Patrick McCarry side of things. But and meanwhile, ETN was doing most of his damage to the left. So that's when you can say everyone got their lick, we'll call it. That same ESPN research list, so shout out to D-Rock with ESPN, stated that the Jaguars had 47 rush attempts, the most in a game by an NFL team this season, but also the Jaguars had 40 rushes inside of the tackles, which is also the most in a game this season. So that's the bigger one. It's like, oh, no. They knew how to win this game, and they knew to lean into this. I'm going to have to shorten the game by running that clock, but also dominate these guys up front because that's how the Indianapolis Colts gave them the blueprint. We talked about this on Friday. Like the Colts had 10 explosive plays in that game, and that was how they dominated the Chargers up front. It was just like 6 in the passing game, 4 in the running game. In the middle of the third quarter today, I was actually logging them at the time. The Jaguars had 9. They had 6 and 3. Again, this is 7 minutes left in the third, so they understood the assignment. That's the blueprint to beat this team. And they didn't sway away from it at all, but also shout out to the guys for stepping up and being able to stop them because the defense showed they behinds also. And they need their flowers.
No, 100%. And the reason why I'm less inclined to give the defense theirs is because that offensive front It's the same feeling I had about the Jaguars as a team facing the 49ers, right? As beat up as the 49ers were, if I wanted to take you seriously, you needed to win that game, and the Jaguars did. This was even worse than that, in my opinion, right? With the Slater injury in the offseason, with Joe Alt missing on that side, for them going out and getting a Saints offensive lineman who's supposed to be a guard, allegedly, putting him at left tackle and then having him leave the game by the third quarter. Fellas, if you didn't show up as a defensive line in this game, I don't care if the score was 55-6. If you didn't put up some numbers against this Chargers team, I would not be able to take this team seriously defensively. I don't care how many turnovers you have, right? And someone may out there, well, it's only 3 sacks. No. There was more to it than that. They're shutting down, making him one-dimensional MVP candidate and most underrated quarterback in the league currently, and Justin Herbert was struggling. All of the above are true. They did what they were supposed to do today up front on defense, Travis.
Yeah, but then I can't give them a demerit. I can't give them a not doing what they're supposed to do, because I want to be clear. I said that they should have done the same thing last week against the Houston Texans, and they didn't. And I've said on a few games this season where they should have done what we just saw, and they didn't. So I then can't turn around in the next week and be like, well, they did it, and they did it in dominating fashion. And now I'm going to be like, well, they were supposed to do it. Well, no, I can't have both. I can't have my cake and eat it too at that point. So I want to be clear.
Your point is good, and if you're keeping yourself in check, that's fine. For me, and you make the valid point about what we said about them facing the Texans, is we did expect more, which we did. It was Davis bleeping Mills, all of the above, man. Hey, listen, I was there,
and the backup tackle with Davis Mills.
This O-line for the Chargers is in worse shape than the Texans, for clarity.
Sure.
This is why I'm saying it the way I'm saying it. So,
they lost Greg Newsome at one point in this game. They lost Trevon Walker for about, I guess we'll say half of a quarter, so maybe around a quarter of time at one point or another in the game. I believe it was the second quarter. Then you have Danny Strigo and you have BJ Green coming in and doing their thing. Like, I want to be clear again. They had that boy Justin Herbert under some pressure. He was pressured on 48% of his dropbacks. He dropped back 23 times. They had 11 pressures before he was pulled early in the fourth quarter. That's his second highest pressure percentage in a game this season, which he was pressured at 53% in week 8 against Vikings. So that's his second most pressured game, and it's also a career worst game when he only passed for 81 yards on 18 attempts. Again, these are like really dang good numbers, and this is a week after he just played against the Pittsburgh Steelers and T.J. Watt and those guys, and he had a much better game. And I don't think many Jacksonville Jaguar fans will say our defense has been as good as that Pittsburgh Steelers defense. So the fact that they did what they did against that opponent, I cannot water that down. Like I simply cannot I can't form my words to water that down. They deserve all the accolades that they're probably going to get this week, especially after all the stuff that's been talked in the media and in the fan base about that team this week. Good job getting back on even keel and understanding who you are. But also, I would love to see the same type of performance when you're favored and not just when you're the underdog.
Exactly. And that's the point I'm making. I'm with you. Good getting back on track and doing what you were supposed to do. Finally, that's a very wonderful thing. But if you want to actually make my crackheadiest take come true and win this division, you're going to have to do it now at a guaranteed higher clip here moving forward, right? If Justin Herbert was the best quarterback remaining on the schedule, then this O-line was the worst remaining on it. That's my take.
Maybe. And that could be true. I don't really know how I feel about it, because I'm just like, I don't know. It depends. We'll see what the injuries look like for the other team.
It's an instant.
Yeah. When we finally play them. But I also thought this receiver core and all of those guys would have been better for the Jaguars. I thought the tight end for the Chargers was a lot better than a lot of folks they're going to play, other than maybe Tyler Warren. And we just didn't hear those guys' names at all. Like, it didn't matter. Like, again, but that's the Justin Herbert kind of conversation. And I said it on the socials. I said it on Friday also. The Jaguars were going to not just be playing against Justin Herbert, but Justin Herbert was also going to be playing against Justin Herbert, because Herbert wants to hold the ball more than 3 seconds. We talked about this in great detail.
We sure
and
did.
He did. nearly all of his sacks were over 3 seconds because he was trying to extend plays, and that allowed the Jacksonville Jaguars to get home on that second or third opportunity after he's spinning out and trying to roll out and whatever it may be. So from that perspective, I was like, oh, yeah. This is the week for the Jaguars to have a multi-sack game. I said it on our podcast here,
yeah,
and I also said it in my Big Cat Country staff breakdown beforehand. And that's exactly how it worked out. Justin Herbert last week had a 2.2 time to throw, and I'd be willing to bet it was around 3 seconds this week.
If not less, right? I agree with that.
No, if not, no. I think it's going to be more. I think it's going to be 3 seconds or more.
Okay. Well, then that's
no. I truly think he was holding the ball for a very long time because he wasn't seeing the field, and he hasn't been seeing the field for much of this season. So I think that's why he's been an MVP candidate, because everything's been off schedule. And overall, that doesn't take away what the Jaguars did on defense. They did what they were supposed to do. Get it. Correct. If he extends the play, you get it down to the ground. That's how that goes. And they did.
And let me build on that. It goes into a point I want to make too, right? Only 4 penalties today. Side note there, Duval Devout. 4 penalties. When's the last time we heard that? That's right. Another AFC West win in the Chiefs on that Monday night, right? In my opinion, BJ Green call shouldn't have been called. I agree. So if the refs don't muck up that roughing the passer call, I said it, they have fewer penalties in this game than they do against the Chiefs. And frankly, that's the thing I'm giving the flowers to the entire squad for turning in a season low, in my opinion, penalty count for the game.
Well, Robert says only 4 penalties, but I had it as, I thought it was 1 penalty for 5 yards. Am I mistaken?
Let me take a look. Because I know.
Yeah, I thought the BJ Green penalty was a negated penalty because there were 2 penalties on the play at the same time. I only had 1 penalty for 5 yards.
Well, there you go. So, and it could be an element of what's counted versus what isn't too. I am literally looking at it as you do that.
Sure, but I am very curious because Preston Timms,
right. the official listing has 1 penalty. Yeah, as I said it out loud, that throws me off. But yeah,
so 1 accepted penalty overall.
Gotcha.
And again, that's what I said. The Chiefs game, this is not an aberration. I told you guys, the Jaguars can beat any team if they play clean as far as drops, clean as far as penalties, and if they're reasonably healthy. And maybe they can do it with just 2 of those 3 things, depending on the opponent.
I call them reasonably healthy. I call them reasonably hurt, Travis. We got Tim.
So they might be able to win with just 2 of those things.
Green out there. What do you mean healthy?
So overall, I'm fine with it. I just need folks to understand the NFL parity is so much so that even one of the better teams like the Kansas City Chiefs can be beat by a team such as the Raiders or the Broncos or the Jaguars or fill in the blank team if you're just playing a clean game and not like beating yourself. And the Jaguars are absolutely at minimum an average team, if not a much better than average team. I would definitely give them credit with the way that Liam's coaching, with the way that the run game is established right now, and the way that offensive line is playing too recently. Yeah, I would absolutely give them that. They may even be above average, especially when they're not just shooting themselves in the foot. They did it today. I don't think I saw one drop pass in this game.
Maybe, and this is fascinating. I'm going to bring this up. I alluded to it loosely on Wednesday in the live stream edition of the Duval Dive. I find it fascinating the number of drops going down when the top receivers aren't on the field. And I think we saw it again, which, by the way, credit to Jacoby Myers as well. Tim Patrick with another touchdown. And people over here, there were people in the comments, granted we didn't agree with them, but there were people in the comments killing Jimmy Stones and his performance as a GM in the offseason. I think this depth where you're pulling in practice squad dudes and they're making plays. If we're going to crap on the GM for what happened in Houston, we have to give him props for what happened today with depth players making plays like that in the past game.
Yeah, I mean, but we knew that from the start. Like, the most explosive guys are also just so happens to be. You know what? I almost said something that I don't even know if I believe it to be true. Like, I almost made something a Travis Hunter and a BTJ issue that's truly just a BTJ issue as far as the drops. Which is saying that I think the most explosive guys are obviously Travis Hunter and BTJ. But the ones who struggle most with the drops are Travis Hunter. wow, BTJ. Obviously, he was like near top of the league as far as his individual drops. So
I mean,
overall, Jacoby Myers was brought in. Yeah, Diami, but yes, Diami didn't get a lot of targets today also. So that was the other piece of it. Is the guys who they trust the most to make those contested catches, who they trust most to have those I guess, tipping towards the middle of the field kind of plays, but they know where to sit it down, are Parker Washington and Myers. And, well, that's exactly what it looked like. They knew when to sit it down. I said this earlier during the middle of the game when Myers had the in-breaking route, about a 17-yard gain, something along those lines on second down. And I'm like, dude, he knows when to throttle it down. Like, it wasn't where he's running full speed towards the middle of the field. He throttles down while he's looking at Trevor. He's not looking for the contact inside the field. He's looking at the quarterback, waiting for that ball to hit him as he throttles down. They're in sync, and he's only been on the team for a few weeks. It's wild, isn't it? Always going to be those guys being in sync together, and that was just funny to me because he hasn't been here long enough to know the full scope of the offense, and nevertheless, he knows enough to just be like, I'll be doing this. This is what I'll do. And you just put it on my chest and we'll be all right. And it worked out just well this game as he ends up being the Jaguars' leading receiver. Yeah, man, this is very clear.
And I'm wondering, it feels like it's only a matter of time before the box score watchers come in off the top rope and use this win, and I'm accenting this intentionally, and use this win to get on Trevor Lawrence's case, right? 14 for 22, 153, 7 per play. With a touchdown and an interception, and I believe he lost a fumble as well, right? So the criticism is going to be
Trevor didn't lose a fumble. He had the interception, but he didn't lose a fumble.
There was
they called it incomplete pass on replay.
That's right. They did call it incomplete. Okay, but still, I feel like the Trevor haters out there, shout out to Jason Strent, Jaguars United. The Trevor haters out there are going to hold that against him. Bro, I'm joking, Jason. I'm joking.
Yeah. No. But at the end of the day, you're going to, if you don't like Trevor Lawrence, you're always going to be able to point back to the interception that was a badly thrown, late thrown pass toward the inside of the field, and it has to be to the outside and maybe a little bit high. And to Robert's point, sounds like a Purdy game. Yeah, that sounds like a Brock Purdy game, but I've often said that you want to have that Brock Purdy 2023 MVP season where it doesn't look like an MVP season, but you're just a high-level game manager. I don't see a problem with that. Like, that's great.
There are quarterbacks that have won Super Bowls with that. Dare I mention Brad Johnson, Joe Flacco, and others that off the top.
Early Tom Brady.
Early Thomas Edward Patrick Beaver Brady. Great point. Heck, late brand Tampa. Tom Brady was a game manager. Let's be real about that.
Yeah, so I don't have a problem with that. If that's how you want to win the game, like you do what's needed to win. That's the point of the game, is to win. As long as you win, let the media heads argue about it. That don't matter. You paid, your team's winning, everyone's happy. But I just thought it was insane the fact that the Jaguars, Logan Cook did not punt today. They didn't punt once in this game. They didn't punt. There were no punt returns also, which I thought was weird, and then no field goals for Jacksonville today. So my player of the game on special teams and for my Big Cat Country article was LaQuint Allen, because he was literally the only guy who did anything. He had 2 kick returns, with an average of 27.5, and Cam Little had 5 extra points. Those are my special teams contributors that I could choose from, basically. So I just thought it was funny.
I got to get speaking of things that are funny, Robert, in the comments, Jason Trent needs to owe Trevor an apology. He was throwing great in the second half in tightened windows.
I have a feeling I know what Jason would say there, because all Jason would say was, well, yeah, because they ran for 192 yards. They just hit Trevor after he threw his bonehead interception, blah, 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 blah. Something along those lines. I think that's probably what would be said is, yeah, he just didn't fumble the bag, which is, there's something to be said about that. Like we just talked about.
That's your what game management is. Yes.
Yeah. Is to make sure you don't take unnecessary sacks. He didn't. Is to make sure you don't make bad situational plays. And for the most part, he didn't, outside of one throw, which that throw existed. And it was very frustrating, because if you are a believer in win percentage, or if you're a believer in EVOA and negative plays in that way, that play was a 13% a reduction in their win probability. If you were someone who thinks that, then that was at a point where the game was still in the balance. You can't throw that interception. We know that.
Trevor Jefferson. Trevor was Christopher Reeve in the first half and Superman in the second half.
I mean,
I don't know if he means Christopher Reeve or Clark Kent, but either way, I feel like it holds.
Ooh, but also, can we give my guy his flowers? Josh Hines out, man. Career franchise sack record, now passing Tony Bracken's at home. To do it at home, he is no longer a Precious man.
And turned into something else and became from something else to Superman. Yeah, that's a fine call out.
But he definitely dominated the offensive tackle into the quarterback. He actually grabbed the guy with one hand, falls down, grabs his leg with the one arm. Like, that was a truly dominant play. And it was also funny to me because in my arguments in one of my group chats, one of the socials, it was just like, well, it was still over 3 seconds because that was the 17 sack season argument that we would always have is, all right, how many of those sacks actually were like not just quarterbacks running around and stuff like that, and he just collects the sack versus how much is it under 2.5 seconds, basically, how much is it him just dominating the guy from the start, like those elite pass rushers. And I'm not here for that argument necessarily. I just thought it was real funny that even on the franchise, breaking sack, he ends up collecting a sack where a guy's trying to, get out of his grasp, kind of out of the back of the pocket.
Yeah, and Justin Herbert only ran 3 times. It was for 21 yards, but I think containing that was a really big deal as well.
Devon Hamilton, shout out Devon Hamilton, helping out with the run game. Like, the fact of the matter is that Justin Herbert was their leading rusher with 21 yards rushing, because like the fact that he ran for 3 yards, three carries for 21 yards, and was their leading rusher.
He was how dominant of a performance. I didn't even think of that until you just said it. That's right.
Yeah. Like, their leading rusher was their quarterback, similar to the Chiefs game for the Jaguars, but also the quarterback only threw for 81 yards. So that's about 100 yards total for the guy who's like supposed to be leading them in all statistics. Can you understand how dominant of a performance that was for the Jacksonville Jaguars defense? You can say what you want about the offensive line, but it wasn't like Herbert didn't have time. It wasn't like he wasn't back there scrambling for 3 seconds on most of those sacks and pressures and everything else. It was truly the defensive secondary doing their job. Herbert also struggling to see the field. Those guys also dominating to stop the run. Like, it was a lot of things happening. And also the offense dominating those guys on the ground and making them also get out of their game plan so they couldn't run. They couldn't continue trying to run the ball. It was a mixture of all things, but Jacksonville followed the script to a T.
They did one thing I wasn't prepared for, and I want to ask you about this. I feel like they used the pass early to set up the run, which is counterintuitive, right? Roberts Lamison comes in. I thought Christian Braswell had some nice plays when his number was called. Sure, he was one of several. But, yeah, they came out throwing, and then they started attacking on the ground after that and started running through a Humpy Bumpy's face, as Marshawn talked about.
They wanted to get Trevor they wanted to get him in his groove and in his rhythm. And I understand that, especially after all the conversations surrounding your quarterback and letting it rip on his first reads and all of that stuff. So whether you're running crossers, whether you're running stops or whatever it is, like, you obviously want to give him those opportunities to feel comfortable earlier in the game, especially against this team who we've seen him struggle getting into rhythm in the wild card game not too many years ago. So if you want to get him started on that and then get the run game going, yeah, I see why you did it in that way. Again, I think the coaching staff did phenomenal in this matchup. When I say they understood the assignment, and I think they understood the game plan, they understood the strengths and weaknesses of their other team that they were playing against, and they leaned into it in a very intelligent way. We've often said this was the game that was going to help us determine who Liam Cohen is and who Anthony Campanelli are. And it's harder for Anthony Campanelli because he obviously doesn't have all the dogs. And even saying that, they still played their behinds off this game without all the dogs against a very healthy Chargers offense outside of the offensive line.
Oh, no, their running back core is decimated. Let's be careful with that.
All right. You're right. Two running backs on IR, but it's not like the third running back getting good also. Like, he's also been very good in the last, 3 games.
They're
so
deep,
it's kind of hard.
But yeah, you're right. But let's be clear. When you're pulling dudes off the practice squad for your backups, you know, it's a rough go. That being said, that receiver core is super legit with Keenan Allen, Lad McConkey, and others. And to keep that, to make them one-dimensional with that passing group being as lethal as they can be is a huge takeaway. I don't mean to cheapen that at all. With that in mind, yeah, man. Go ahead.
We
Yeah,
control the clock on the league leaders at doing just that. They're a defensive team who tries to control the clock, and we did to the Chargers what the Chargers normally do to everybody else.
There you go.
And the Jaguars did great at doing that. And again, you can clown Trevor Lawrence all you want to. Trevor Lawrence did exactly what Davis Mills, exactly what Geno Smith, exactly what all these quarterbacks have done against the Jaguars. 20 yards and under, destroy. Like 20 yards and under, be efficient. Make sure these guys hit these guys in the chest. Jacoby Myers, Tim Patrick, Parker Washington, etc. Hit these guys in the chest and keep the ball moving down the field so you can get back to this smash mouth football. There is not a problem there. Like that is game manager football to a T. And if you want to give all the pats on the back to Davis Mills, 2-0 Davis Mills, by the way, starting quarterback for the Houston Texans.
Considering it was the Titans,
Lawrence's flowers.
Yeah.
No, if you're gonna give Davis Mills that same credit, I don't care if he's a backup quarterback. The fact of the matter is, the point of the game is winning. If you're gonna give him that credit for winning in that way, the same way that Trevor Lawrence just won this week against a very dang good defense, then yeah, get that man his flowers. Hey, bro, you deserve it. You did what you're supposed to do to walk away with the victory, and not only was it a victory, it was a very dang dominant one.
So, well, yeah, I'll leave it at that. I don't think there's too much more to build on that. I think
Antonio Johnson. I want to. I mean,
please.
44-yard interception return. I mean, It was an overthrow, but yeah, he caught it. He could have dropped it. He did drop the second one that was a ricochet off of Dewey. That he almost had a second interception today.
That's right.
Just saying, like, hey man. These guys deserve their wins when they can get them. That's all I'm getting at.
This is a team with 17 turnovers. You're correct. We got to give them that props.
Yes, and a team with not a lot of sacks. So Danny Strigo out there getting a half sack with Trevon Walker.
BJ Green putting a hit on.
BJ Green laying a smackdown on a dude. I think he killed the quarterback out there. I don't know how Justin Herbert came back into the game after that one. That was craziness. Like I'm sitting there like, yo, but it was one of those, and then they called a stupid flag because of course
that was a terrible call. I don't care who you are.
Well, Jaguars stay getting these terrible calls, man. It is what it is. Like I'm just happy that they also got at least they got a few terrible calls this go round.
Yeah, that PI
interferences for both.
Yeah, that was super questionable. I won't front on that.
I thought both of them was like, as a DB guy, I'm like, I mean, I'm happy that it went for Jaguars, but also that wasn't PI. But I got you. Appreciate your rub.
Hey, well, listen.
Matt Adams says it is because our offense didn't run through ETN, and that's a very curious statement.
We have an issue there because mathematically, ETN has more carries than does Bayshall. So I'm going to need you to define what you mean by run through. Because if it was,
I think they ran through them both. I think they made ETN great again today.
I think that's a great point. Yeah, I mean, listen, while Etienne had 19 for 73, it's still a fine performance. 15 for 70 is also a good performance.
They just used them different ways. They used one as a Swiss Army knife, and that was able to kind of just cut you and keep you moving maybe a little bit more horizontal. They got you a little bit towards the edges, and that's what bought you those cutback lanes basically for ETN. And then they used the other one like a sledgehammer. I think Bayshall Tootin was more directly like behind Robert Hainsey on each side of the center and breaking tackles in that way straight downhill. That was the only difference. I just think they used them in different ways, but for the most part, they both were used heavily. If anything, I would probably say it was 60-40 through ETN and Tootin just being the guy to kind of
the change of pace side. Yeah. And he did do something in the middle. I think there was a couple too on one of the goal line stands. It was like a 3rd and goal, but they ran Etienne up the middle and he converted a first down on the doorstep too, just before they scored with Tootin as well. So there's enough carries for both to see that they kind of neutralize each other. To your point, the ball went through both of them. And please, let's not forget about Bashal Tutin doing 8 for 36 as well, having his own.
I'm happy his injury didn't seem to be anything serious as far as that was concerned, for sure. Yeah. And Matt Hatter says Bashal getting tough carries kept our drives from ending, which may be fair. Like, I'll give him that, but that's not a knock on ETN necessarily, saying that Bashal Tutin is a great player who broke a lot of tackles and got the tough yards. Yeah, I don't have a problem with saying that again. I established that they use both of those guys in different ways, but that's just the benefit of having a backfield that has a variety of skill sets. That's no different than the Gibbs and Montgomery backfield in Detroit or all the different.
Yeah, I think like that. It's a committee.
That's not on either of those guys that they're not the other guy.
I'm not saying it's Mojo and Taylor, but it's that feel. It's a committee world they're living in. And they also have the benefit of LeQuint. I think this is, I think you put it best. This was a group focus, not just one dude.
Yeah, we said we had to win on the ground. We didn't say this was a Travis Etienne week. I literally said both of their names in winning on the ground, because it's not about one guy. It was about winning on the ground. That 192-yard figure is not a Travis Etienne figure. That's not a Bashal Tutin figure. It's all of them. LeQuint Allen even got his 38 yards in that process. So yeah, I'm not blaming or crediting just one guy. They were very similar, 74 yards to 73 yards. That's not demeaning one guy to say they are dominant up front overall and all of these guys ate. Cool. It's about winning, man. It's not about the stats. That's fantasy football talk. So that's where I'm at.
Watching to Emmanuel Acho, right? Exactly.
Was this the first game we put backups in with Trevor Jordan Roberts? I mean, they had the one game where he was playing with all backups at receiver. I know that one, but I don't know if that was purposefully trying to put backups in versus just being limited on guys.
Yeah, because Trammell, Patrick, and Jacoby Myers is not a backup, but he got snaps last week too and had a touchdown catch that was called back. But Trammell's made catches.
I think they're saying black backups because we're just boat racing the team. Like, this is truly the Jaguars' first true
called off
demolition.
Demolition of the team. That would be interesting too, right?
Right, like having another backup quarterback in the game. Like the no, it's a backup quarterback did pop in my head after the hit on Justin Herbert. Because we are just not good at backup quarterbacks
on the field. That's correct. So no.
So Tutin was close to Robert Harrison says, Tutin was so freaking close to breaking one ankle tackles away. Like, he had multiple where it would have been 50-yard, 40-yard rushes. I agree. And he was just like that tripping at the end and things of like just that close. It was so good of a game, and there was still meat left on the bone. And that's what makes this such a positive experience for the Jacksonville Jaguars. This won't be an every week thing, but you take it when you can get it because you know how infrequent it is. Like, you don't see a time where the Jaguars come out and just straight punch a dude in the mouth.
And it's not just a beatdown of a Titans team. This was a team that was supposed to be good.
A tougher team. This is a tough defense. Top 10 in both sacks and interceptions. They generally just are dominant other than maybe the run game. And even then, they were good the last 3 weeks in the run game other than that Colts game. Where Jonathan Taylor put up 94 yards on 16 carries, which is still not like crazy, but it's like, that's a solid game. And today the Jaguars was like, nah, we ain't playing that game. We're going to punch you in the mouth, and this is the way we're going to win. And they did. So congratulations to Liam Cohen. Congratulations to Anthony Campanelli. Congratulations to all the guys on this roster, because y'all fully understood the assignment. Y'all came prepared to play it. And y'all were not going to allow this team to punch y'all in the mouth coming up from that West Coast, and you made them relive those ghosts of 2022, that wild card game. Congratulations, guys. Enjoy your day off.
Absolutely perfect. And by the way, speaking of getting the opportunity to enjoy things, Travis D. Holmes, it's time for you to sign off and enjoy the victory in your own right. Tell the world where you could be found so the rest of the Duval divers here can keep their celebration going with your content.
I mean, the first thing I want them to do is before they keep that celebration going with all the libations and everything else, is to click that like button. And then after they click that like button, maybe drop a little comment, so help us out with the algorithm. But yeah, you can find me on bigcatcountry.com. You can find on all the socials, Travis D. Holmes, talking all Jaguars football. If you want to talk about any other NFL team, college team, CFL, whatever, let's talk about it, because I love talking all ball. But yeah, if you're listening to us on the audio side via the Believe Podcast Network, please rate, and review us there. Help us out. It helps us out tremendously. It's what pays the bills. Like, so help us out. Do that. But yeah, BigCatCountry.com. We already have the post game right up there. And Travis D. Home on all the socials, the Duval Dive on YouTube, on TikTok, etc. So just follow us in all the places, and we'll keep you this great content coming from you guys. Let us know where you can be found, Mr. Nash.
Of course, I'm Kyle Nash, the student of the game. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky at the SOTG. Find me on Facebook as the student of the game. Check out my writings with the Black and Gold Banneret covering UCF football. Good God, I felt like I was covering the Chargers with that particular game. But yeah, watch what happens when UCF battles oil money. Make sure you check that out. blackandgoldbanneret.com. Making the grade as I grade the night's performance and the evaluation of it by the Black and Gold Banneret team on the Night Shift YouTube channel, as well as my work covering the San Diego Chargers, ironically, as the producer of Bolt Blitz Uncut. Make sure you check out Booga Peters and Company, as well as my work covering the Orlando Magic. Great time. Celebrate as you see fit, and do it safely, Duval, of course, for my personal champion, Travis D. Holmes, for you Duval divers out there, and a few parting words from our good friend Marshawn.
If you just run through somebody's face, a lot of people ain't gonna be able to take that over and over and over and over and over again. They just not gonna want that.
I think there's a deeper metaphor there.
Run through a motherfucking face.
And yeah, Duval, enjoy your Monday. Victory Monday, y'all. Let's get it.